Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Sorry if I look a little disheveled. I've been taking care of a dog that has pancreatitis and it's been kind of touch and go, so I've been up a lot. But anyway, the show must go on and I promise 2 videos a week, so here it is. This time I'd like to talk a little bit about my background so some of you can understand why this is an easy transition for me to move away. I wanted to first mention that I have changed the name of my channel. It seems there are a lot of broads abroad, so I just changed it to Adventures with Avalon. For those of you who have known me for a very long time, I wanted to name it Linny Longs to Leave, and I think you'll get a kick out of that when you know. Those of you who don't know, when I was a child, I named myself Linny Buck the Pirate, and that's another story for another time, but that's kind of funny. But anyway, I like to keep humor in these videos. So I already told you that I lived in 10 states and the District of Columbia, and I lived in 2 foreign countries. So I'm already accustomed to moving and changing. But the best thing I think that happened when we moved to Holland, I was 13 and living in Ohio with my family on a little gentleman's farm, as my father called it. And we had the opportunity to go to Holland, the Netherlands. And he said that if we're going to go, we're going to go. We're full in, we're going to do the full immersion. We're not going to live like an American overseas. We're going to take the plunge, and we needed to learn Dutch. And Dutch is a very complicated language, and there's a lot of guttural sounds. And I think after a half an hour speaking it, everybody's throat hurts. But we did. We took the lessons and we learned, and he bought us all bikes, and we, on the back roads of Ohio, we rode bikes together as a family because he knew it was a bike culture and he wanted us to fit in. And at the time, I was a little rebellious. I'm like, geez, do I have to learn to speak Dutch and all of that? But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to him for that, because he didn't move us to Wassenaar. We moved right into Den Haag and right near Scheveningen Beach and right off of Van Akkermadelaan. And it was marvelous because we were the only Americans around. And our neighbors were, on one side were Dutch and on the other side they were Austrian, and they had survived the concentration camps. Hans and Paula, most lovely people ever. And we got to see the numbers on their arms, and they told us a number of stories. But we became really good friends, and we became friends because we would try to speak our Dutch with them. We would see them in the morning and say, "Dag meneer," and those sorts of things, and they loved it. I mean, Hans could speak 11 languages. He was well versed in English, but the fact that we made the attempt and showed the respect to them made all the difference. They included us in the community right away. And when I was in school plays, or my sister was playing in the band or whatever, they would come and see us. Paula didn't understand a word that was going on, but she didn't care. She thought it was marvelous. And when I lost my cat, it was devastating. He ran away, or something happened to him, and I couldn't find him. So I went to Hans and Paula, and they drew a picture. Paula drew a picture of a cat, which is so cute, and said, "Lost cat" in Dutch, help us find him. And then the neighbors took the flyers door to door and were knocking on people's doors. "Have you seen this cat? We need to find him." And my father was out walking the dog one day, and he started barking at a garage, an enclosed garage. I think you could hear Jethro in there. Yes, my cat's name was Jethro. And so Hans and Paula and some of the other neighbors knocked on this neighbor's door. And if it hadn't been for them, we wouldn't have been able to converse very well that my cat was in their garage. And so he went back there, and sure enough, Jethro had fallen through some sort of a hole or something and just couldn't get out. And I was able to get my cat back. And if it wasn't for the love and concern of our neighbors and the fact that they had really ingratiated us into the community, I don't think that would have ever happened. So I'll always be indebted to them. We also learned so much about different cultures and ways of being at a young age. we were able to become Dutch in the best way that we could. Yes, they have socialized medicine. Yes, it was great. The doctor was 2 blocks away. He was a general GP. He could fix a broken leg or pull a tonsil or whatever he needed to do. We found it to be adequate, more than adequate for any of the childhood traumas we had. So I'm super grateful to him. We learned Spanish and French while we were in Holland. And then when I moved to Belgium in my senior year of high school, I was able to converse again with the Belgians. I didn't know how to speak Flemish, but I could speak French. And I was able to get by pretty well in that country. And as a result of all of that, I was able to be conversational in about 5 languages. My father and grandfather spoke German, and so I could swear really well in German, and that sometimes is helpful. And then I spent some time in Russia in the 70s when it was indeed Russia, and we needed to learn how to get find our way around and get back to the hotel and be able to converse with the Russians because nobody there was speaking English at the time. So my thought on this, and as I was kind of just thinking about all of that and how important it was, I thought that my lessons in Albanian just aren't enough. I'm using Pimsleur, which is it's a great program, but I don't feel that my accent or I don't know. I just don't feel that my sentence structure and those sorts of things are really going to come together as quickly as I'd like them to. So I have made the decision to hire an Albanian tutor from Albania who lives in Albania. The interesting thing about that is that our lessons will be somewhere between 12 midnight and 4 o'clock in the morning. Not my best times, but I am dedicated and determined to learn the language. So I have chosen a instructor who charges $11 an hour. Can you believe that? That is the Albanian price. I'm happy to pay it. I'm happy to pay more to learn Albanian from a native speaker. So that excites me. That interests me. And I want to learn the language because not only do I want to just immerse myself in the culture, I might end up staying there. And by that, I mean, it might be the country of choice that I live the rest of my life, or it might be just kind of a starting point, and I will find another country to live. I am not coming back. I have zero intention. And some of my friends say, well, never say never. I have no idea why I would come back to this country. It is a mess. And I am not happy. And I wake up every day either angry or sad. The school shootings, the government, just the way they treat people over 65. And let me tell you, ageism is a real thing. When you hit this age, all of a sudden, nobody wants any part of you. Not doctors, not anybody, not the healthcare system, nothing. It's mandatory for you to get on Medicare. And it's a horrible program. Even if you have an auxiliary plan, Medicare doesn't cover anything. You might medically need something, but Medicare is like, well, I don't think you need it that badly. You don't really have to breathe, do you? No. Your heart doesn't really have to beat, does it? I don't think so. So this country is all about, as long as you're in the workforce and as long as you're participating and you're under 65, you can stay, you can hang in. They have some perks for you. After that, not at all. And it's frustrating. And it's made me very, very angry when I see doctors and they're saying, well, you are past 65. You're on your last leg here. So I don't know if we really need to do this because you could die at any time. The other thing the country does is it bombards you with all kinds of, have you gotten your paperwork together? Have you figured out who you're going to leave your money to? Do you have your funeral plot? Are you going to be cremated? What's going to happen after you die? And you get letters like this every day, well, every week in the mail. And it's frustrating and it's hard to see that because when you're like me, when I just think this is just the next chapter, I feel good. I'm ready to go. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be treated like I'm old and put out to pasture. I have a lot to give. I've had an incredible life. I have a lot of experience in some things, and I have a lot more to share and to give. So screw them. I'm not going to fall for that. I am going to go to a country where I'm appreciated. And what I find from European countries, South American countries, other countries other than this one, treat their older people with respect. And that's all anybody really wants, is to be able to contribute and to be treated with respect. So I'm not coming back, darling friends who say never. There's no purpose. There's no reason to. I would feel very poorly if I came back. So anyway, I want to learn the language. One of the best ways, and you guys will have to forgive me, you know I'm in the desert. So I want to drink when I can. One of the best ways to become a citizen in a country is to either buy property or start a business. My background is in business building. That's what I did for a living. I built 30 plus businesses, either myself, turnkey businesses, and or with the potential owner of that business, and loved it. Absolutely loved it. I specialized in pet businesses and built 2 of the largest dog care centers in the country. Really proud of that. I love building businesses. I love going to areas, seeing what the need is and filling it. That to me is just so fun. And then how to market it. So I was thinking that if I'm going to do that, I've already got a couple of ideas of businesses I can build in Albania. I need to be able to converse with the locals. It's important. So that's why I'm upping my game with my language. And I'm finding out it's not as hard as I thought it would once be. I really thought that your age does come into play a little bit. My age comes into play because I'm worried that I'm not as sharp as I used to be, that sort of thing. But I don't know why I was thinking that. Of course I am. So I'm learning the language, and I think having a background in several languages helps as well. But it's a beautiful language, actually. And so I'm picking it up. Anyway, I want to maybe start a business. And if you're thinking about moving to another country, that's a great thing to think about. What are you going to be doing? I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, well, when you're retired, it's easier because you have money coming in. That isn't necessarily the case. I made a ton of money in my lifetime, and I spent a ton of money in my lifetime because that's what I thought it was for. And I wouldn't change a thing. I retired young. At 50, my mother had just had a stroke. I said, okay, I'll take her with me and we'll have some fun. I only expected her to live a few years. She ended up living 13 years. So we blew through her money. We blew through my money, but we had a ball doing it. And I wouldn't change a thing. I absolutely wouldn't. She had an amazing life prior to that. And then afterwards, I wanted to keep her in a lifestyle she had become accustomed to. And we were able to mend our relationship, which wasn't very good. When I was younger, we were at each other pretty hard, and we were able to see eye to eye because I'm older now, and I can see how valuable she is and was. And she lived to 88. And so then I was like, okay, well, now I'm 62 or 3, or now what do I do? Because I had sold a business and they defaulted on the loan, and that was going to be my retirement. It was a lot of money, and I just have to let that go. I mean, life happens, and sometimes it just doesn't work out the way we planned. And I had spent every other dime I had because my mother wanted to travel. She wanted to see old friends. She wanted nice clothes. I made sure she had everything she wanted. And then when they weren't able to pay me, all of a sudden, I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do? But I build businesses for a living, and I knew I could take care of myself. So that is what I'm going to do when I move out of the country. I'm moving out of the country, one, because it's ridiculous here and I can't take it any longer. It's so superficial, and I think a lot of you have found that as well. I need deeper connections. I need to talk about more than the freaking Kardashians or, what's on TV right now or what's the latest movie or that's just not who I am. Read a freaking book. And I get frustrated and angry easily about that. My friend that you met, Breezy, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but she was shopping at a store. She's male presenting, as you can see, and she was in line waiting to buy a few things. A woman cut in front of her and is trying to call her other friend up. And she said, come on, just jump in front of him. And Breezy, of course, says, it's she. And the woman turned around and said, well, okay, it. Now, good thing I wasn't there. I'd have dropped her right then and there. I mean, I go from 0 to 100 over stuff like that. Don't you dare. Don't you dare come at a friend of mine like that. And I think the other friend was embarrassed and she finally pulled that horrible woman out of the way. But it's things like that. I wasn't even there and I was angry about that for days afterwards. I just fantasized about being there and what I would have done. I don't want to live in a country that does that to other people just because they're a little bit different. And that's what's going on in this country. And it's becoming worse. And we all know it. We all know it. You almost have to pick a side. What side do you want to be on? And I don't think that's how I know that's not how I want to live. And it's just becoming worse and worse. And, it's going to eventually implode. It's a young country. I get that. And it needs to grow the hell up. I understand that too. But I fought the good fight. I did my protests. I was around in the 60s and 70s, and I did all that, and the 80s and the 90s. And I'm ready to go and live my life the way I want to live it and not have to be concerned that I'm going to take somebody down because they insult a friend of mine. So Albania is the choice for me. It's easy access. It's a beautiful country. The people so far still like us, although every day things are changing and becoming weirder with Americans going abroad. The more and more countries are making it more difficult for us to come in to the country, and I can't blame them. I cannot blame them at all. I mean, they think we're all crazy because that's what our government portrays us as. So hopefully by the time I leave, I'll still be welcome. I have also changed my liftoff date. I was telling everybody I'm leaving August 1st, but I have decided to go October 1st. And the reason being July, August, and September are the high season. And even though it's not very expensive over there, it's still a lot more expensive during those months. And I thought, well, why? And it's hot. So I thought, I'll just stick around here and visit with some friends or whatever until it's time to go. October is also my birth month. And I end up moving a lot in October. It seems like as I look in my past. So that's a great new start, fresh start for me. So I'll be doing that. Like I said, learning the language, diving into the history of the country. I also mentioned that my goddaughter might be joining me at some point. She too will be learning the language. It's imperative. And it frustrates me when I watch these videos of the folks that are living there. And that's the one thing they talk about. Oh, you'll find English speakers. Yeah, you just ask people if they speak English. It's no problem. You know what? That's their country. And I'm not going to ask them to be American. I'm not going to ask them to, cater to my needs. I'm in their country. I'm going to learn how to speak to them in their language. And I think that's so important. And these folks that just go over there going, oh, well, the young kids can speak English. It's the older people that really can't. Those are the people you want to talk to. The older people, they have the knowledge and the depth and the wherewithal to be able to tell you about what's happening in their country, and you need to be respectful. And the fact that you haven't learned any kind of language, not hello, goodbye, not yes or no, not how to order in a restaurant, shame on you. I really feel that. Just shame on you that you didn't take the time to learn something about that country before you went there. And I think that's horrible. So I'm not going to allow that to happen to me or my goddaughter or anybody else who thinks they want to come over. Learn something about that country. Get the background. I know this is a thing for me. I really have trouble with it. I'll try to tone it down. When we were living in Europe, every time I've been there, I saw people ordering ketchup in a fancy French restaurant. That was appalling. I wanted to hide under the table. I really did. You don't do those sorts of things. Like, oh, well, this kitchen isn't as big as it is in America. No, it isn't. And it's not going to be because you're not freaking in America. So when you see the videos about other countries and you see expats living there and they're telling you about their experiences, you will hear a lot of that. Don't buy into it. Of course, it's not going to be like it is in America. It's not America. Okay, that's why you're going, because it's different than this country and you want a different experience, or why go? Then just stay here. If you want ketchup in large kitchens, stay the hell here. Don't leave. So there you have it. That's my feeling on it. And I think it's important. So as far as businesses go, as you know, I build businesses for a living, like I said, and I'm very excited to get over there. And you can do this too. You can look at your skill sets and you can think, what am I good at? What can I do? Are you a teacher? Are you in construction? Are you an engineer? What are you? And what can you bring to that country that will make it better? Because that's what it's all about. If you're planning on moving to another country, how can you become part of that community? How can you make the community better? So that's what I've been thinking about. And for me, there's an animal population problem over there. And my specialty is animals. We had thousands and thousands of animals that we dealt with in my career. And I say we because I had an amazing, amazing team. And I'm thinking about maybe I could do something about that. And that would be a lot of fun. I'm also thinking about all the craftsmen they have there, craftsmen, craftswomen, and what I can do. What can I do to help pay them a livable wage and maybe get some of their beauty, their crafts over here to the United States or to other countries? So I'm thinking about that, and it's exciting to think about that. They have a trash problem. They're a second world country. They're just developing. They were communists at the beginning of the 90s. Can you believe that? They're just breaking out of that. They're just letting themselves feel the freedom of that. And trash is an issue. They throw their trash on the ground and hope that it blows away or blows into grease or something. Maybe if you're well versed with that, with some sort of waste management, you could think of a plan for the community that you're living in. There are 100,000 ideas in a developing nation that would welcome someone, anybody, to come over and help support their growth. This is all new to them. They're doing the best they can. They're developing as quickly as they can. But, it's always great to have a little helping hand. And we've done it. A lot of us have done it, and we can do some more. I took a lot of my money and built soup kitchens and schools and clinics in Mexico and Honduras and places like that, El Salvador. And I loved it. I loved making a difference. I loved being able to provide them with something that I knew how to do, to give them a facility that they needed. And it was a beautiful feeling. I didn't, there's no financial gain for me. That's how I spent my money. That's how I wanted to spend my money. Let's put it that way. And to see the joy on the little kids' faces of the first meal that they were able to get. When we were in Mexico doing it, we finished the soup kitchen. Excuse me. And we were serving chicken, chocolate chicken with had an orange, some rice. There was like, I think, a green salad, and just this beautiful plate of food. And the tables, they were the long family style tables. And we started serving from the ends and coming in. And there was this tiny little boy that just happened to be in the very center of the table. He had come there, he was 3, and he had walked 2 miles with his brother, I found out, who was 5, to get to the soup kitchen so they could get a meal. Barefoot, dirty, most gorgeous little children you've ever seen. And he's sitting there. I have it on video. I even get chills when I think about it now. The 2 people beside him, on either side of him, had gotten their plate, and he hadn't received his yet. And he just puts his head in his hands, and you could just see the defeat. He didn't say anything. He just knew that there wasn't going to be enough for him. And then the plate showed up in front of him, and the joy and the pure excitement, and it was I'm so glad I was able to record that, because I can't explain it, of how beautiful that moment was, that he saw there was enough, and there was enough for him. That to me was worth the $1 million or whatever it was that we spent just to make that one moment happen. And you can do those sorts of things, and it doesn't take a lot of money. If you don't have money, you have skills, you can do things, you can help, you can find ways. And if you're not doing it here, you damn well should be. I started some here too in this country. It's just easier in other countries because there's no red tape. Everybody wants a piece of it when you try to start a nonprofit or something here. And when you do it somewhere else, all the money, 100% of it goes to the facility or whatever that it is that you're building or whatever you're doing. Not in this country. Oh no, everybody's got to have a little piece of the action. And I'm over that too. I'm totally sick of that. How do I really feel about it? Well, let's see. Breezy should be here to calm me down. Anyway, that's what I'm planning on doing. The language is important. Learning what it is that you can do to contribute. I'm starting to pick the cities that I want to spend some time in. Since the plane lands in Toronto, which is the capital city, I think I'll start there. I'm going to get a 2-bedroom something in the city center for me, for my goddaughter. If hopefully she still wants to go, or anybody wants to visit, but I want to just experience it. I know that's not probably where I want to be. I'm more, these days, I'd like a little piece of land. I want to have animals. I want to grow a garden. I want to do those things. And I want to be able to really help whatever community I get involved in to, help them move along in the direction that they want to move in. So that's really important. And that's what you need to think about too. If you're thinking about going abroad, you don't need a lot of money to do it. You really don't. You have to have drive. You need desire. You need to know the country that you're going to. You need to know some of the language, but it doesn't cost a lot of money to get to a new country and to start a new life, like some of you might be thinking. It's not like that. But don't come just empty-handed and unwilling to be part of the community and unwilling to grow yourself. You need to evolve as well and not be a typical American abroad, because that is just it's not flying anymore. We're disliked in a lot of countries. We're hated in a few, and that's becoming more and more prevalent. So we need to show other countries that not all Americans are like these ridiculous people that are trying to rule us. Not everybody feels like that. And it's important. It's up to us to be ambassadors of the United States. And that's what I hope to do. I hope to be a strong, positive reflection of what a good person is. We're not all bad, we're not all... Anyway, some of us are really trying to make a difference in this world, trying to leave it a little better than we found it. And I hope that's what you do as well. I do. Take a hard look at yourself. If you're unhappy here, either change it go out there or march, protest, do whatever you think you can do. It's not as easy now as it used to be, for sure, because there seems to be there's no discipline at the top. There's no accountability at the top. So I'm not sure that's going to really make a difference. But if you can do something in your community that you think is helping the local kids, whatever, then that's great. My niece is trying to start an art program for children in her community in Virginia. And it's a beautiful thing. She can't leave the country. She's there now and she wants to make a difference. She wants to help. And I think that's lovely. And so if you can do something like that, do it. But if you've decided you want to go to another country, then figure out what you can do. What can you do to help? And be freaking respectful. Learn the culture. Learn the culture. And if you have to have ketchup, put it in your suitcase and keep it in your house. Do not take it to the restaurants, or your hot sauce. And you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. I have a friend that's addicted. So anyway, that's it for today, I guess. Let me just make sure. I want to, couple things. So smoking is an issue there. I might have mentioned this before. I'm not sure. It's a smoking culture. It always has been. So if you don't like smoking, that could be a thing. I'm really sensitive to cigarette smoke, which is another reason I think the city center, the Tirana, the capital city might not be for me, because I'm not going to go around asking everybody to put their cigarette out. I'm going to have to move myself into an area. But again, opportunity, might be able to come up with some sort of jurisdiction, some sort of program for some of these restaurants, maybe offer up, hey, we could build some outdoor patios especially in the tourist areas, for folks that want to continue to smoke, and maybe inside we limit it or something like that. I've been involved in making some laws in the United States around dog daycares and dog boarding centers, and so it's possible, to express your opinion and not just complain, but have an answer. Here's the problem, but here's how I think we can fix it. So that's an issue. The smell of trash, I guess, is kind of prevalent. I've heard in the bigger cities. That happens in these cities. I've smelled trash in some of our most popular cities. It happens. There's trash, and we have to deal with it. Again, there's an opportunity. So look at it like that. Take a look at the country. What do they make there? What are the products? I mean, I think Albania did about $112 million of export into the United States, and it's about a similar amount back to Albania this past year. That's, it's something that you can think about. I'm looking at maybe getting a couple of artisans that are really good at making some, I'm not going to say because I don't want you to take my idea. But anyway, they're really good at making products, and I'm going to find a way perhaps to ship it back to the United States so they can get a living wage, so they can make more money. I mean, $11 for an hour for a teacher, and she's quite a teacher. It's not enough. It's not enough, and I don't think that's fair. So I don't want to take advantage of her in that way. I'm going to pay her more. But be thinking about what it is you can contribute. What can you offer? What do you have? What are your skill sets? What can you bring to the table? And if you have none of that, and you have the only reason that you're going to go is just because you want to live cheaply, that is a reason. It really is a reason. But please offer something. Don't be an ugly American abroad. There's a reason that people call us that. So just try to be conscientious of what you're saying and what you're doing. Try to, Albania, for example, is a modest country. And they don't like, it's just not appropriate to be wearing low cut or high cut or whatever you want to call it, clothes. It's not appropriate. Some of the younger people are probably okay with it, but the older people aren't. And you need to be respectful of that. They have drinking clubs, places like that, but they don't dance. They haven't been dancing yet. That's not a thing. They weren't allowed to before. It really hasn't evolved to discos or dance parties. And there again is another opportunity. I've been listening to some of the Albanian music, and I find that when I put it to more of a contemporary beat, hey, it's easy to dance to, and it's got nice rhythm to it. So perhaps in the future, there could be something. Maybe we can introduce line dancing or something that came out in the 70s and 80s and start slowly and get everybody on board. But there's always opportunity if you just look for it. Find a need and fill it. That's just really what you need to do. And I hope that you are encouraged and not discouraged to try other countries on. If you're as tired of this one as I am, it's time to go. And there are so many ways to leave. So just pick one and get the hell out. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you on the next one. I really, really appreciate all my subscribers. You guys are amazing. Let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about something more specific. This week it's about my language. I am working on a business here now in Washington, D.C., so I am taking some of the information that I am gaining from working on that particular business and kind of storing it away for my future projects. But I'm, looking at luggage. Am I going to take duffel bags? Am I going to take hard cases? I know I'm only going to take 125 pounds because that's all I can manage, and I have to be able to take what I can carry myself. And so that's going to be it. I'm working on health now. Me and ChatGPT have been getting a really great supplement program protocol for me. And I'm really excited about implementing that. I have been working out. I am doing my yoga. So I'm on track is what I want to say. And I'm very, very excited still. I know I use that word a lot, but it hasn't left me. The more I find out about it, the more excited I get. And the possibilities are endless. This country used to have those kind of possibilities. It did, but it doesn't anymore. It's very few and far between. And you need so many resources to create something here. So thanks for listening. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.